if you get some good concept plans that give you areas of extensions, or even be able to tell the number of new wet areas, bathrooms, the builder should be able to look at that and get a good estimate of, a single story, you're extending this much of your building footprint, you've got a new bathroom, ensuite, and you're redoing your kitchen. Those are the main things that you should be able to get a good idea of a cost at concept stage.
G'day guys, welcome to the MTDC Lounge. This is a podcast that breaks down everything you need to know about designing and building your ultimate home and what to expect. Whether you're a DIY renovator, a budding developer, or everything in between, we'll dive into the building journey, touching on what to expect, what's next, and how to go about it. We'll hear from a heap of experienced consultants and trades about all aspects. So let's get stuck in. Welcome to the Lounge. G'day guys, and welcome to another episode of MTDC Lounge. We've got Mitch again tonight. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate.
Yeah, that's the way, mate. We're gonna, by popular demand, we're gonna hit up the question bucket again, and there's some doozies, and let's just hop straight in.
Let's make some trouble.
Yeah, rock on. You're up first, mate. Let's go.
There we go. All right. Can you move or remove a load-bearing wall without getting a new roof?
Can you move or remove a load-bearing wall without getting? So that's definitely an engineer's question. It's an engineer's question, and it depends on the roof structure, how that's been put in place. Ideally, the way we deal with that is we get the engineer to have a bit of a sticky beak at the construction method and what can and can't be done, I guess, for the interior design.
In most cases, there are ways that you can do it. Whether it's whether you need to put in another beam between another load-bearing wall that's in close vicinity. In a lot of cases, you can do it. I guess the only finesse of that is you can't remove all of your load-bearing walls, and then there's nothing to support the roof. So removing one wall, that's fine. Removing two, probably okay. If you're moving three really close together, and all of a sudden you've got a massive span across there, then that's when the engineer's going to say, well, you can either put a really big beam in to span that whole room, or it might actually be more cost-effective to go for a new roof truss system instead of a conventional truss, conventional framing system. So
yeah, absolutely, completely agree. Engineer definitely question. We're not engineers and we don't try to be. I'd say 100%. All right.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
I was going to say that. Yeah, where there is a will, there is definitely a way. Okay, well, good one. What are the benefits of being an owner builder?
Yeah, okay. Well, you'd probably.
Yeah. So look, it's going to ruffle some feathers, particularly with some builders. An owner builder system it's cheaper. It's cheaper on the books, right? Like you're gonna be saving your builder's margin. You're gonna be saving a few costs here and there. But at what cost? And I think at that cost, it's the project management. So, at being an owner builder, you're going to be expected to organize the trades. You're expected to make sure that everything is running smoothly. You book everything, basically. The owner builder system is great for what it is. If it's a small reno or something like that, I think there's a good opportunity there for people just to get it done. You'll find most of the time the people who are successful at doing the owner builder route are the guys that either are in the industry or know a bunch of people in the industry. You can organize your own chippy, your own plumber, all the bits and pieces. You can hire your mates and do your thing. As long as everybody's licensed and everybody's doing the right thing, there's very little to be concerned with. But I think one of the dangers of being an owner builder is that you have to organize it yourself, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get stung.
I think one of the points to be aware of with the owner builder out as well is that you've got to be the one to know when the trades are coming in and organize who needs to be at what part and which trades will then rely on previous trades or trades after them to make sure that everyone can get their own job done. Like bathrooms, for example, you got to know when the waterproof are, tile, anyone's going in there, when they're going in, and who needs to slot in or work at the same time or even together with someone else. So that's
Scheduling's got to be on point.
Yeah, scheduling, huge point. And you got to know how to. Well, you got to be good at logistics. Really, you got to be able to organise the trades and.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many things that become a little bit red tapey, particularly around the owner builder route. On face value, it's cheaper if you can do if you can do it right and do it well, you're going to save money every day.
And if you got the time.
And you got the time. Like, it's time consuming. That's 100% why you pay the builders to do what they're doing. That's why they put their margin on, because they're making the effort to do it. They've got the expertise. They've done it for years. They know what they're doing. They've got their standard trades. To rely on, a couple of mates who can do a few jobs here and there, but then fail to think about the waterproofers or the tilers and all that kind of stuff. And all you really have is a spark here and a chippy. That's not going to get you a bathroom at the end of the day. You've got a bunch of things that you need to follow up, but that's why builders are builders, because they can do it.
They can also be a second check of all the tradesmen's work as well.
Absolutely.
Like, if you're an owner builder and the waterproof has gone in and you're looking at the waterproofing, like, yes, there's going to be checks. Yes, you're going to get your compliance certificates. The certifiers are there to do their part as well. But at the end of the day, having a builder there, they're going to be able to look at the tradesman's work and go, hey, look, this isn't quite up to code, or it's not quite up to scratch. You need to do this or change this a bit.
Oh yeah.
If you don't know it, if you're not in the industry, or you're not quite privy to what it should be like or anything like that, there's just that chance that things could
go awry.
Just go awry or be missed.
All it takes is a tiler to just go, I'm just going to tile over that, and it's gone forever. You won't know until it becomes a problem, which is a big problem. So another issue is that, one, you have to have most of the funds. It's either you've got to have, I think it's 30%, it might be 40% now for an owner builder route as preset funds.
That's from the banks, because
that's for the bank funding, yeah.
So the banks don't want to lend against or lend to an owner builder.
That's right. So you basically want to make sure that you've got a big portion of the build already, and that's obviously we're going to have we'll get Nick back in and we'll have a chat about it. But at the end of the day, banks want to see that they're not going to be risking a lot more money based on it.
From their point of view, I guess there would be a lot more risk in jobs being properly or being completed, I guess, too.
Yeah. And another fun fact about being an owner builder, you can only do it once every 5 years. It doesn't matter the size of the owner builder job. It could be a small reno. It could be a full house. 5 years is the stop point.
Is there something to do with different properties as well? Or is it it's just 5?
Under one name. It's under one name, and basically it's so that the builders of the world, or the guys who know what they're doing, can't turn around and go, I'm just going to own a build this, and then because you're not using a license, you're not using a homeowner's warranty or anything like that. You're basically covered under the homeowners.
So I guess it would stop people who are trades who aren't licensed builders from acting as a licensed builder by continually building, flipping, selling.
Exactly. So a lot of benefits of being an owner builder, a lot of money to be saved, heaps of effort to be put in. But if you've got the time, the effort, the guys around you, or the girls, you'll smash it. For sure.
Yeah, cool. All right.
G'day guys, just quickly, if you're finding this podcast info relevant to you, then I'd like to quickly talk to you about what we do at MT Design Collective. You hear us talk all the time about the importance of solid, detailed home design practices, so that you're not left with extra fees, delays, or unexpected costs in building your ultimate home. Here at MTDC, we design homes and provide plans that builders love to build and councils love to approve. If you're looking at a renovation, a new build, or alteration, then we'd love to help you work out the next steps forward. Book a free, no obligation chat with us, and we'll come out to your site, as it's the only way to truly get authentic, no bullshit advice. Link is in the show notes. Okay, back to the show.
Do you see AI as a possible threat to the design industry?
At the moment, no way. We've dabbled in it. We've had a bit of a sticky beak at what they can do, but I mean, AI can give you a layout, and there'd be a template, but they will never, ever, in my lifetime at least, be able to get that human touch of, directional views, sunlight, access, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's all good on paper and it's all good like, logically, but I think in terms of human feel and I guess emotional attachment to, I guess, the way things are done, it just never will get there.
No, I agree. I don't think it'll ever replace design, drafting, anything of that realm at all, because I think ultimately these AI tools will be developed, and I think really it's going to come down to will in the industry be replaced by AI? No, but your job could be replaced by someone else in the same field who is using AI. It's
100%.
It's more of a tool that you've got to adapt to if you want to keep up. But in saying that, like, it's still, like, right now, I think like maybe the rendering would be
a danger.
A danger if you were only doing renders. But otherwise, well, even then, you've still got to do the modeling. You've still got to do the design. Like, maybe there's some like, maybe not now, but maybe the next, couple of years at the rate it's all growing, there might be ability to go, right, this is, I want a few different facades to quickly look at and see what, more of almost helping with the flavor, or a quick,
here's the parameters, make it better.
Bulk modeling, bulk sketches, really.
Yeah.
Helping with design sketches, or helping to sort out which direction certain aesthetic features want to go. I think
I'd largely agree. I think where the danger, I guess, is in the drafting and the design world for the AI, though, is probably around that investment spec level kind of stuff. Like, if nobody cares about the design and somebody wants to just quickly turn around something, and they want a 3-bedroom single story home, north is on a particular angle, I think they'll probably come up with something, because there's so many designs. Obviously, the AI will work within a certain level of parameters, and there's so many things on the internet at the moment that is easily accessible. I mean, they've got the affordable housing that the architects did that are $1 a plan or something or other. AI could snap that up and then just throw something together, but it will never take into account the site constraints, setbacks, heights, levels, and all that kind of stuff. I think there's just way too much variable design requirements, personal and compliance-wise.
There's also the liability as well. Like, who is going to trust AI to go, right, I've read through all the compliance bits and pieces, Australian standards, and this is how you build it, or this is compliant. I wouldn't want to be putting my name to that, to say, I've trusted AI to do this. It's should be good.
I've spent far too long arguing with AI about how I want something to be done or written to trust the fact that it's going to write a legal report to a standard that's going to get us through.
Yeah,
absolutely. Cool. All right, this one's going to need its own episode. Who do I need to involve when building? Design to constructions, consultants to builders.
Episodes 1 through to now, probably.
Episodes 1 through to 24.
yeah. Probably do that.
Yeah. A nice, quick, easy answer is. Nice, quick, easy. Okay. Nice, quick, easy answer is designers, draftees, then engineers, planners, basics, assessors. Depending on location, how you're doing it, you've got bushfire, mine subsidence team, water authority. They're just at the planning stage. Like, we're not even mucking around with the final sort of certification spaces yet. But yeah, 100%. A builder and I guess a project manager and designer that can look after the whole thing is probably the 3 main guys you need.
Yep.
If you're going to be an owner builder, may God be with you.
Well, really, you're going to have your designing, someone to manage your approvals and whatever reports are needed to get the final approval, and then the builder. Like, I'd say if you could probably break it down into those three, or usually they're not, well, they can be sometimes, the one person, like we manage most of that. Sometimes it can be split into several people.
It depends on the team and the sport you have. Like, but your three main ones are designers, planners,
Builders.
Designers, planners, certifiers, builders. They're probably what you need. Planners and certifiers are in the same realm, but I mean, like, you need your designers, you need your support, and then you need your builder. You get those three guys, you get those three groups nice and neat. The job's going to be nice and smooth.
Yep. When should I start speaking with the builder?
Yeah, I've spoken about it at length now, but straight away. Like, what we're trying to explore at the moment, in particular with MT Design and the drafting and the design space, we're going to start offering packages where we can get the builders involved at the concept stage. With a little bit of extra cash there, you're going to have somebody that's licensed and able to do something. And I think, and it's the way to go. Like, it's definitely the way to go, because we can do our designs, and we're basically relying on a conversation between client and designer to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And while we have a good grasp on the cost will always blow out depending on cantilevers, lengths, spaces, groundwork, all that kind of stuff. So absolutely, in short, a builder can and probably should go hand in hand at the very start.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. Earlier the better. Sometimes before you even have plans, have the chat. The next thing they'll ask, what is plans? If those first conversations are sort of going well and there's a bit of a direction, like, hey, yep, it's feasible. Like, let's look more. Get some plans drawn. Builder, talk concepts with your builder, talking with your drafty designer, and then really work together among the three of you.
And then it's almost like a stew, right? You start with your main ingredient, you just start chucking the extra bits. Designer, builder, then you get your basics designer, then your engineer, and then the engineer guy, and then all your bits and pieces, and then right at the end you get a finished product. But yeah, it's definitely a personality thing too. Like, you could go and engage a couple of designers or a couple of builders. You will find out very quickly who you click with. This group of people you're going to know for months, maybe even years, while trying to get this job through, depending on the severity or how tricky it's going to be.
Yep.
All right, this one's a curly one. What is a good indication of build costs?
That's a good one.
A good indication of our build costs, I think, when we design, we assume a square meter rate. While we assume a square meter rate, we almost inflate it as much as we possibly can, simply to give a ballpark figure. At the end of the day, a build or a reno that's going to only include a living room or a garage or a carport is going to be far less than a kitchen reno or an addition of an ensuite or a bathroom replacement. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we ask for, what we say, or what we ask for. We assume a square meter rate of around that $3,500 to $4,200 a square meter on a single level. So I'm going to make that clear.
Yep.
Single level, $35 to $4,200 a square meter for renovations as well. So there's a few caveats, there's a few variables and stuff like that. But assuming that we're doing renovations, because that's usually the biggest time that you're having a concern of a build. In between that space is a good place to kind of expect. But yeah, an indication of cost. Are you changing a roof? Are you changing a wet area? Are you adding, are you adding an extra kitchen or whatever you're doing? If it's anything to do with tiles, if it's anything to do with the roof, you're costing yourself more.
Yeah. Yeah. Wet areas are a big thing. Like, you could do an extension of the same area. And potentially the costs could double if that same area involves a kitchen or a bathroom. But yeah, I think they're the main things to look out for.
Don't get me wrong. Like, you can go and get yourself like a caboodle kitchen, or you can get like yourself a Bunnings setup, and it's going to save you tens of thousands of dollars. But at the end of the day, it's a flat pack situation, and you're not going to get the finishes that you want. It might be ideal for like a studio or a granny flat situation, but if you're going to put it in your main house, you're not. The cost is there. It doesn't matter. But a bathroom's going to be worth around about $30,000 a piece. Kitchen, you'll be looking about 40 to 50 grand. Your roof, depending on how big it is and what the material is, what the trusses are like, all that kind of stuff. It's a cost, and unfortunately, it's a how long's a piece of string kind of cost.
Yeah, I mean, if you go in with that, I guess that estimate in mind, and then take into account how many wet areas you're doing, but if you're getting some plans drawn, that's going to be the first thing to get a good indication of a cost of the build, is to have at least some concept plans, like leaning more into the alteration. Well, actually, new builds would be the same, but if you get some good concept plans that give you areas of extensions, areas of, or even be able to tell the number of new wet areas, bathrooms, the builder should be able to look at that and get a good estimate of, a single story, you're extending this much of your building footprint, you've got a new bathroom, ensuite, and you're redoing your kitchen. Those are the main things that you should be able to get a good idea of a cost at concept stage.
Well, as a fun fact, we actually work with a couple of builders who have a very, very rough estimate guide on their web pages now. I think it's the way forward. One, it's a good lead generation because those people would put their numbers and things that they want to do. It creates a format, and then it gives them an opportunity to get called with the things that they want. But it also gives them a good idea about kind of what they're expecting before even building. Like only today, I just got a phone call today. It was a great conversation. Bloke was awesome, but he gave me a call and he was like, "Oh, Matt, I'm just looking at moving my front door." He was a referral from one of our builders, and he goes, "Is council going to hit me up for it?" And I was like, "Well, what's the move?" And he goes, "Well, the front door is going to go around to the side. Can it go compliant development?" We both know you can't do compliant development because the front door is not on the front. So straight away it's a DA application. And then DA application comes with a SOE and with a waste management. And then you got to do all the plans. And then all of a sudden, we go from moving a front door to this big long process. It's going to cost, $7,000 in plans and certification and all the bits and pieces. It's not, the cost is just so hard to nail. It's just unfortunate. It is what it is.
Mm. Maybe with on the estimating costs of things, maybe that's something that AI might be able to help with in the future. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of years that there is more cost estimating, or put in what you're doing. There might be something out there.
Absolutely, and I think like the better indication that somebody has of how much a cost to the build is going to be, at least as long as it's not like undercooking it. I think if somebody knew or got a good understanding of what the entire process from start to finish is going to cost them, it's not going to have this cost shock. It's not going to have this this really gross feeling that, we weren't aware it's going to cost us, 10, 15 grand to do the application process, because at the end of the day, we don't make the prices for the entire process. We just try and get the best price and the best service for the best price, I suppose. So yeah, it's a hard question. It's a hard question, particularly when, there's so many people involved and there's so many moving parts in this industry. And it's 100% why we're making the podcast. Let's make it clear. Let's make it understandable. And let's bring the costs and I guess the tricky parts of the industry to light. So the conversation started.
All right. What are the most common design requests that just don't work? It's a good one. What do we get a lot of that just doesn't work?
I think it's a matter of opinion. I really think it's a matter of opinion.
I would probably say the most requested thing that I've seen that we get that where it just doesn't work, people trying to, like, for the right reasons, maximize how many dwellings, like from a either subdivision point of view or a developing point of view. A lot of people assume because they've got a large space of land, or their block size is X amount, like, oh great, I've got 1,000 square meters block, I think I can fit in 2 or 3 townhouses down the back of my existing house. I think that's probably a lot of it, because it's just because you've got the area, and just because technically the rules from council saying that you can do it, sometimes you just can't because the design constraints or driveway access, like there are things that are going to come up into it that go, well, yes, while you have the space, well, the rules say that you can, there could be constraints.
The north-south blocks. It's the sun stuff. Like, you've got north-south blocks where, you've got, the short side running towards the road on the north side. unfortunately, one of the rules are, you one of the units or all of the units, all living spaces have to see 3 hours of sun on the 21st of July, in between 9 and 5 o'clock. 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even 5 o'clock. But anyway, you don't see sun on the 1st of July, 21st of July at 5 o'clock. But yeah, north-south is just 100%. We've seen it over and over again, and we stagger design. So we'd stagger our townhouses to make sure that we can try and get that light in, but just sometimes it's just too tricky.
Yeah.
You went hard with that one.
Well, it's just something I've seen that we do. Like we get those calls a lot when someone's looking at developing, or they've got sometimes it's a case where, hey, I've got a block of land, I've got a small house at the front of it, and I want to, like a lot of people think about, I want to try and make the most of the land that they've got. Really to develop it, sell it off, set yourself up for life. Like that's the dream, really.
Sell two, keep one. Yes,
well, exactly. So yeah, there's just a lot of constraints that come with that, and there are times where it may seem that you can fit more on there, but there's a lot to try and
understand for sure.
Jump around.
Well, I mean, I've got levels. So yes, so townhouses, yes, 100%. Asking to fit as much as they possibly can on a block, super hard to answer that question. One, quickly, and two, at a very low cost. Feasibilities, all that kind of stuff, come at a cost. It's going to happen, and it's going to be expensive before we even find out whether or not you can do it. But studios and secondary dwellings, locations of those on the block, that's always asked, and that's a big thing at the moment. Obviously, we got to pay attention to the rules, and we've spoken about that a million times. I think as we're kind of working our way down, locations of pools and setbacks and things like that, all the outside constraints, locations of carports, building forward of the building line. If they've got no space out the back, but they want to build forward, and they're already at the average of the two houses next to us. They're some of the outside things, I think, of the design requests that I find that we answer a lot of. Like, it's like, hey, particularly with the building forward of the building line, yep, it's great. You would have the space if you didn't have old mate next to you being so far back, and that's a problem. And also on that, I mean, putting a garage in front of the building line, that council have said yes in some cases, but on the general note and as a whole, it's a no. You can't build a garage in front of your building line. It's one, it's gross, but two, it's a written rule in the DCP.
Yeah, council will basically look at it and go, if you've got the ability to put it behind your building line, then that's what they're going to make you do.
Absolutely, it's a metre behind the building line at the very least, and 5.5 metres behind your boundary. So 5.5 metres first, metre behind your building line second. So they're the outside things that we get asked a lot. Building to the boundary was a few things that
I was gonna mention. I've got a bit of a specific example of something we do get asked a lot, and it revolves around pools.
Yep.
How most people want the pool as close as they can to their side or rear boundary to make the use of the rest of their yard. But one thing we do get asked a lot is, if I put my pool a metre off the boundary, because that's as close as you can get it, with my pool surrounds, can I then deck around the boundary and have my decking on the boundary as well?
Yeah, that's a big one, actually. That is a big one. Yeah.
And if that deck is any way connected to your main house, you can't do it.
You can't have the deck up to your boundary anyway either. Like, well, yes, you can, but it has to have that setback. It has to have that 1800 mil between the deck and the house. So yeah, there is that rule, and we had a client just outside Lake Macquarie there, and she had this beautiful deck and this pool, and it was like this for 20 something years, and then she updated the pool, and she had a beautiful deck, and then she just found out she had an easement to drain water down the back, but she decked over that easement. Well, the easement was decked over first, and then she just wanted to recreate it. But the rules state you can't do that, so she had to lose 2 meters of her deck already. And then at the time, it was okay to have trees in your pool area. had to take out all the palm trees, out all of that kind of stuff. It really took what was quite a simple pool installation,
It was a replacement,
and just destroyed it. It just destroyed it, and my heart goes out to it. But unfortunately, the council rules are the council rules, and because the new safety guidelines and all the bits and pieces, it just ruined it. And then and on that, like, the deck was all the way up to her house, and we ended up having to chop that deck back because it was within that 900 mil of the side boundary. Again, we lost 2 meters out of the back because of the easement, and then we lost another 2 meters out of next to the house because of 2 meters out of the deck because it was too close to the house. It just took this beautiful pool area and completely flipped it on its head because there's so many rules about it. But I guess if we boil it all the way down to, I guess, even like the design factors of the house and things like that, cathedral ceilings, we get asked a lot of. I'm not a fan of the cathedral ceilings when you have dog legs in the wall. And when I say that, you've got a big cathedral ceiling, and I think you really want to capitalize on that that cathedral ceiling. So you want a flat wall. You want to have a definitive space between,
almost like a rectangle. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to have that cathedral ceiling being prominent and being the visual space that it is, and not being ruined by, an afterthought of a placement of a side of a pantry, or just a little pop out, because you're gonna see this weird space that kind of gets connected, that throws off the ridge, the center ridge. Like you'll lose your center line right through the middle of the roof, which is what you want to see anyway. And that's a big thing. And you know what? I've started to see a lot of people kind of start to move away from that gun barrel pantry laundry situation, because they don't want to walk through that. They don't want to walk through their pantry to get to the laundry anymore, and like we're starting to see a lot of people like wanting to chuck the toilets and spare toilets into the laundry, and then obviously it's going to start playing around with I guess the pantries and the laundry. Like, we did a lot of it, and like a lot of people asked for that a lot last year, and then I guess the year before we did heaps of them. But as the year kind of progressed last year, people were like, I don't want that laundry in there anymore. So it's just interesting to watch, I guess, design fads and how they kind of wash out over a couple of years. This is a good one. Okay, why didn't my builder include retaining walls in my approvals if they are needed for the build? That's a good one.
We see that a lot. More than I wish we did.
Yep.
Stitches the clients up, holds sometimes the build up or occupation certificate up. Like, there's just, I don't quite understand why it gets done, but you've probably got a bit more on it.
Well, the retaining walls are expensive for what they are. They're expensive. If you've got a retaining wall of about a meter high, it's logically speaking, builders don't want to cost those because it's going to inflate the price. And at the end of the day, it's not what they want to be doing. They don't want to build the retaining wall. That's not their job. They want to build the house, because the house is what it's going to make them the money. That's the money shot, right? They're going to see that house. You see it a lot with spec homes. They do it all the time. Spec homes or those places that do just those cookie cutter spaces. It's just I've had clients and friends and call me, and most of the time, a lot of the mates who call me, they're like, "Hey, Matt, can you take a look at this plan for me? And why am I getting hit for this retaining wall? Why haven't I been approved for this retaining wall?" It's like, well, the money's not in the retaining wall. Like, they're not there to build that retaining wall. And then they go, okay, well, how are we going to build the house without the retaining wall? They're saying here that it's us that's responsible.
You need it.
And you're like, well, yes, you are responsible for the retaining wall. Otherwise, you're going to have a batter of, whatever the cut is. And the unfortunate part is that the retaining walls could be a meter. They could be 600 mil. Like, they could be whatever. 9 times out of 10, it has to go to council. And if it hasn't been put through the council process, you could get approval for the house. And I know for a fact, I'm talking from experience, literally from a friend of mine who went through a spec home, and they for God knows what reason, they gave the client a drop edge beam, which is the drop footing from the slab all the way down. It's supposed to hold the dirt away from, I guess, the boundary. And for some reason, they gave her a drop edge beam, and then they cut the block in such a way that she was going to need a retaining wall anyway. And she's like, okay, why do I need a retaining wall if that's already been retained? I was like, that's a great question. Like, I don't understand why they've done that. And
so was it an overcut?
Well, it was a waterway, but what they could have done was just not do a drop edge beam at all, and then use the cut from the back of the block and spread it across the rest of it, and then the block would have been even, and then there wouldn't have needed to be a retaining wall. There was just so many things that it was just kind of a little bit weird for me. But her job basically couldn't start because they wouldn't cut the they would cut the site, but they wouldn't start the build until the retaining walls were put in for safety of the crew that's going to be on site to build the space. She didn't need the retaining walls. And but then she, you needed the retaining walls, and then you had, so she needed the retaining walls. She had to go through that process. The landscaper, or the guy who was going to put the retaining walls, said, "I'm just going to chuck in the retaining walls." And she called me up straight away. Straight after the phone call, she goes, "Oh, this lands." Because we were having a chat, and she's like, "Hey, I'm really upset. I have to do this retaining wall. How do I do this?" And I said, "Okay, well, you have to do plans. You have to do the application, blah, blah, blah." And she goes, "Oh, okay, no worries." And she was a little bit upset. And then I got a phone call about 2 or 3 hours later, and she's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I found a landscaper mob who's just going to throw the retaining walls in for me." And I was like, no. Like, I was like, slam those brakes on. And I was like, I want to know who those landscapers are, because you've got to put a meter high retaining wall in there. And if that landscaper is telling you that he can just chuck it in, you're going to get so much, like, it's just going to ruin everything. Because if you chuck that retaining wall in and it's not been engineered and it hasn't been approved, you get a building information certificate and your house hasn't even started. And so she's obviously in tears. She's obviously upset and frustrated about the whole situation. And all it was it was just a retaining wall. It was a simple retaining wall that didn't even need to be there in the first place. And it's just lost on me that at the very least, put the retaining wall in the application and put it as a clause to the clients. And I'm talking this for spec home builders. Put the retaining walls in there and just put it as a clause that the client is to do the retaining wall. Like, don't stitch them up and make them do a whole new application for a retaining wall when it could be easily done. We do our own retaining walls. We do, like, being able to do a retaining wall takes us a whole of 15 minutes when we're doing the designs of the house. We can do the cut pads. We can do the heights of the retaining walls. We do the elevations. Just get the engineering, do the application with the DA, knock it out.
Yeah, because what I've seen happening is, and I don't quite understand what their thought process is, like whether it's I really just don't understand. But what's happening is that when these plans are being drawn, they're going, right, to fit this house on this block, I need a retaining wall. And because it needs a retaining wall, they're submitting the approval for the house only, and almost explicitly saying, either on the plans or through the planning process, we're doing the application just for the house, even though we know that we need retaining walls to build the house. We're explicitly excluding this retaining wall from the approval. That's the bit that I do not understand whatsoever, because at the very least, include it within the DA application. So you have approval for the house, you have approval for the retaining walls. At the construction certificate, split it at that stage.
Save a bunch of money, bunch of time.
One council application.
Yeah.
The builder still doesn't have to build the retaining wall. They're not liable for that retaining wall.
Yeah.
There will be clauses which there would already be, I would imagine, in that builder's contract to say either A, you need to build these walls before work start, or B, you need to build it to get your OC at the end of it. That won't change. It's like, why all of a sudden the builder's saying, right, we're ready to start. How are you going with your retaining walls? And then they go, well, what do you mean?
Absolutely, and they'll be approved already. And before everybody starts chucking wobbly, like at the end of the day, if the retaining wall is changed for any reason, it's a modification. And I think it's a simple, clear conversation with the client. Hey, you want to muck around with that retaining wall? We've got you approved for a meter high. If you're going to go any higher, then you have to go back and get it changed. There's always that 10% variance, but I think in terms of, I mean, client quality control and making sure the client's looked after. And I would dare say a better drafting experience and a better understanding of the design. So my mate who went through this process, if they knew how to do a retaining wall, or if they knew how to to set out the plans appropriately, that one, she wouldn't have needed a drop edge beam, and then she wouldn't have needed a retaining wall to support that. It's a 15-minute job. It's a 15-minute job with a bit of care to understand that, you know, a retaining wall is a retaining wall, and like if a builder or a spec home supplier is trying to save a bit of cash, put it in the contract and say the retaining wall is your problem. And another gripe on that, it's like they don't do the section 138. They don't do the driveway. It's like, just set up a driveway. Just show that it's done by the client, and then just help them out with the 138. Like the 138 application for a driveway, you already know where the house is going to be. The place is already you're already going to have a place that's pegged out. Why put the client through the heartache of trying to do a section 138 themselves if they don't know how to do it, and then, you know, they're sitting there, you know, kicking rocks because they don't know what to do when it comes to doing the application to the council. Because if they did, they would have just done it in the first place.
Or even at the very least, like at the very minimum, having that conversation way back before the application is even submitted. Because I've had conversations with clients where they're saying, the builder's telling me I need to put this wall in before they can start. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's have a look through the approvals. Well, you don't actually have approval for that wall, and they're none the wiser. They don't know that the builder has only put through the application for the house. Then all of a sudden they've got to get some new plans drawn for the retaining wall, go through the DA process and then the construction certificate process before they can call the builder and say, yeah, I finally did this. By the way, why didn't you tell me this months ago? Because you can do it at the same time. You should really just do it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
it doesn't make sense to split it.
Absolutely. And you know, like, try not to throw too much shade at, like, not just spec homes, but some designers, they don't do the retaining walls. Like, they don't do the retaining walls, and I don't know why. Like, I simply don't know why. Like, it's not hard to throw together some numbers. Like, we've got a client that we've been working with for a while now. We're helping him with his pool house, and we did the measure, we did the contour lines, we did all the things, we did all of our work. We spoke to him about the retaining wall, and we're like, hey, like, we've got to put it through. Let's put it through together with the pool house. And I remember he sat exactly where you're sitting, and he turns around and goes, "Oh, Matt, don't worry about the retaining wall. I've already got it done." And I was like, "You didn't?" And he goes, No, I did. Like this, like my
old mate came over and put it in last week.
Yeah, he goes, "Oh, I've got a couple of free sandstones just hanging out. Like, let me just throw them in, and like I'll just chuck them up together." And I was like, "Mate, where did those retaining walls go in the first place?" That retaining wall, if it's been placed the way I think it's been placed, is going to be within that boundary setback that all retaining walls and some councils want to be. And then it's where, like, how has that been placed? How close is that to the pool house? Now, do we have to adjust that pool house? And then I was like, you've got 2.5 meters of fall over your block. Like, your retaining wall is going to be at the highest point over 1.5 meters high. That's got to go to engineers. That's got to go to council. And you've got now a loose sandstone block wall that's following, like, it's not even, they're not even straight cut blocks. They're just natural shaped sandstone rocks chucked on top of each other. It's like, has it been cemented in? Has it been supported? Where's the engineering for it? What about the drainage? I mean, you've got loose rock there. If you've got a loose rock there that hasn't been stuck together, and you've got a big downpour of rain, all of that sand, all of that loose fill is going to come straight out of that wall. It's going to ruin all of the concrete. It's going to bog up all of your drainage that, if it was there, it's going to ruin it. Like, and I was like, for the matter of a bloke turning around and saying, "I've got a couple of loose rocks that I can throw together a retaining wall," you've just cost yourself thousands of dollars for removing it, and then having to go back and do a building information certificate anyway. You know, there's just do the retaining wall. just do the retaining wall, mate. All right, there you go, guys. Another question time. It's they're getting heated. They get some good questions. A lot of it's around the money situation at the moment, but I'm sure there's a million other questions, and I'm sure throughout the process of today, and I guess all of the other the other podcast episodes, I'm sure there's some more questions floating around. Whip them in. We'll get Mitch back in to answer some of the questions. We might even get some of the pros in to answer some of them for you as well. So if we don't know the answer, we'll definitely find it, and we'll get the guys to answer you properly. All right, see you again. Thanks for listening to this week's app of The Lounge. To make sure you don't miss out on the next episode, hit subscribe. We'd love to get the message out to more homeowners like you. Make sure you leave a rating and a review, and we'll see you on the next app.